Merry Christmas!
Happy Christmas!
And happy holidays! And New Year's is coming up very soon.
Well, he knows how I feel about the whole happy holidays thing. So hey, real quick, in the spirit of the holiday, we did want to try to relate some of our, or at least our favorite Christmas stories. I'll go first. And one of the things that I found out through reading the stories that there is everybody makes the whole Christ imagery and the Christ metaphors with Superman, especially after the Donner films. Those are pretty out there. But I don't think a lot of readers realize just how much in common Superman and Santa Claus, Father Christmas, have in common. DC Comics Presents had a team up between Superman and Santa Claus, and then you find out, these guys have very similar histories. Okay, they're both orphans from different worlds. Okay, Santa ends up going to live with these elves, who he finds out while he's living with them, he has developed these greater powers. Okay, and then he uses these powers to do what? To pretty much bring peace, hope to people, especially children all over the planet. Was a really good story because the way that they went about it, you didn't realize that the story was about Santa Claus. You had to keep reading, and at the end, then you realize, oh, this story is about Santa Claus. The way that they started the whole thing off, you realize you thought it was about Superman, and then you're like, no, this is actually about Santa Claus. So that whole overlay right over there was really good.
Well, I want to have a question. Is this Klaus? Is this
No, this isn't Grant Morrison. This isn't Morrison Santa Claus, who's not Santa Claus. That's Klaus at that point. Okay, that's Klaus at that point. But it was really good because, again, it keeps in the whole. For me, it kept in the whole Christmas tradition because I was able to see the parallels between them, and these archetypical heroes. At the end of the day, even if you, I'd have to really go into some professorial type lecture to explain Jesus Christ being an archetypical hero, but. With Santa Claus, it's a lot easier, but it was just a really fun book, and I really always enjoyed the holiday books as well. They're not so much anymore, at least from my memory. I think they had one out this year, but it was $10. Who the hell is going to buy that? But hey, the holiday grab bag back over here, and all it was just a collection of all the Christmas stories, and it's only $1.50, and it was a giant one. So that for me, that was one of my favorites. I always remember that one fondly.
Well, I want to go through, I guess, 3 comics that are my favorite. That had a good Christmas moment.
3? I only did 1. Okay, well,
I know. Well, they're going to be quick. The first one would be, I guess, Byrne's last story, which is Kitty Pryde versus the Demon.
Okay.
And it starts with a backdrop of Christmas, and they're finally trying to get Wolverine right. So in this moment, what's the name? Mariko's there with Wolverine. Wolverine's in his country western outfit. And then Nightcrawler comes from the top, kisses Mariko on the cheek, and she's like, "Oh, Nightcrawler-san!" And then Wolverine just goes and tries to hit his claws right through him, and it's just like, that's the homicidal medicator we've long forgotten, that this thing anything could just trigger him. Then Colossus stops him, and Xavier calms him down, and then Kitty has this moment where she thinks Colossus is cute, and kisses him on the cheek, and Colossus is kind of weirded out, and he's embarrassed because he's like, where did this come from? So it's a good Christmas moment. And we have Storm. If you see that issue, Storm's in her her civilian attire. She has her hair, has a wrap over her hair, and you see the little widow's peak, which is white, which they didn't use post that point. Everyone say her signature look is the freaking, what's that
Mohawk?
thing? Yeah, I can't deal with it. But it had a good civilian look. So then our producer just had a comment, but so that was a good moment for having Christmas. But then my favorite ones are the She-Hulk and Santa Claus. The Santa Claus knows who's naughty and nice, and she's trying to he's trying to prosecute this person, and Santa Claus comes to help her out. So then they're doing an investigation, and they're on top of a building. And if you read The Night Before Christmas, listening, She-Hulk is sort of like, hey, how am I going to get down this chimney? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, it's easy. You just, you touch your finger, and then they're able to go down. You don't have to lie to your kids. Just use the night before Christmas. It explains the whole thing. You don't say, oh, how does fat guy? It's there. That's what he does. So it has a good moment, and then there's a little piece in the end of that story where Santa Claus gives She-Hulk a gift. and it goes in her coat. So then later, like some issue when Byrne returns, they have a story where She-Hulk goes back to L.A. and with her family, and it starts out there's a big family party, and then She-Hulk pulls out the official handbook of the Marvel Universe and said, "No, I only have only have my father and this other person." So it's just a father and Zapper, who's her boyfriend, her old boyfriend, who has a girlfriend who looks exactly like her, and then her father, who was actually the Thunderbolt Ross of the original series. So in this thing, he's okay with it, but he's looking at his daughter as a human, and he's still sort of bothered by the She-Hulk. Even though obviously Jen is happy, she has a sad moment where she's like, "Oh my gosh, my father still isn't accepting me." And then that was the gift. The gift is she was permanently She-Hulk, but then for this one moment, she's Jen, and the father's happy. And it plays out later in the story, but in a different way. But it was a cool moment, not trying to clear up that this father had this bias. He just wants his daughter how he was, and they had this moment together. So it was a good. I had forgotten about the gift when it came in. It was always fun seeing them have all those old characters and not throw them out and say they're all terrible. And there was no. If you read the original Savage She-Hulk, it says, "Hey, you can go back. You might struggle through them, but it says, hey, this might have been a fun series." So those are my Christmas stories that I liked, and right on the bottom of the stuff you guys like.
Hey, a happy Christmas to all, and to all a very, very good New Year. We will see you when the New Year comes around, and we are really hoping that we get some really good reads in for the New Year.
All right, thank you. Bye.